us tonight, naked Gezintahait Street.
Yeah, Leib is feeling under the weather and Gimel Aleph has the flu. Hey, ay, 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 did-it-am, ay, 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 did-it-am, ay, 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 did-it-am, ay, 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 did-it-am, ay, 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 hey, ay, 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 did it, hey, ay, 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 did it, hey, ay, 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 hey, ay, 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 did it, hey, ay, 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 did it, oh, ay, 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 hey, ay, 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 did it, ay, 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 did it, ay, 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 did it, ay, hey, ay, did it, ay, 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 hey, ay, 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 did it, ay, 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 did it, ay, 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 did it, ay, ay, did it, ay, ay, did it, hey, ay, did it, hey, hey, ay, did it, hey, ay, did it, hey, did it, ay, did it, ay, did it, oh, you probably give him all the finish there. Oh.
Hi, everybody. The next week is the Rosh Hashanah of Chassidus, which is the holiday of the Alter Rebbe when he got out of jail. And this week is Parshas vayishlach, that Yaakov sent angels, messengers to his brothers. And we're going to, in this story, draw a parallel between the Alter Rebbe and Yaakov. The previous Rebbe told us that after the Alter Rebbe got out of jail, eminent Jews asked him, and I believe the eminent Jews was the Balditchever, since you could have gained your release through a miracle, why did you cause Jewish people anguish by allowing yourself to be arrested and jailed for so long? It's a good question. Similarly, Yaakov, our patriarch, could have overcome his brother Esav through miraculous means, but instead he sent him gifts and engaged with him. So you get the question?
Yeah.
Yaakov could have overcome Esav with a miracle, and the Alter Rebbe could have overcome the Tsar with a miracle. But instead, they worked through nature. Our Rebbe uses the story of Yaakov and Esav to explain why it was necessary for the Alter Rebbe to put Jewish people through that hard time. The salvation associated with the Alter Rebbe's holiday, Yud Tes Kislev, could have occurred immediately through a miracle. The Torah states that Yaakov told Esav, "My gift is a sacrifice offering to you." Yaakov was a complete righteous person, as seen by the fact that he said, "I lived with the wicked Lavan and kept 613 mitzvahs." He had reached such a state of perfection that he was prepared for the revelation of Moshiach. Therefore, Yaakov sent his gift to Esav to help purify the world, so it too would be fit for redemption. Like it's known, the world's purification is included generally in the purification of Esav. And that's why he sent him a sacrificial offering rather than overcoming him through a miracle, because he wanted to purify Esav, but Esav had to be purified through nature. Yaakov sent his brother a sacrificial gift. In return, Yaakov reached the level of, "My soul is redeemed in peace." pada b'sholem nafshi, with the permission and the agreement of Esav, who represents the other side. So his soul was redeemed in peace, and even the other side helped in the redemption, which if it was done through a miracle, the other side wouldn't have helped, wouldn't have needed to help. In the same way, the Alter Rebbe could have overcome his adversaries through a miracle, but the purpose and reason for his arrest was to clear the way for Jews of all generations until the coming of Mashiach. According to Rambam, a king who's a human being and his power comes from the Torah will stand and compel the Jewish people to do the mitzvahs. He will fight the nations of the world and conquer them through a miraculous victory over nature. But the preparation for these events is not to burn up the world or overwhelm it, but to make this world a dwelling place for Hashem. Then even the enemy, the power that works to negate godliness and holiness in the world, whose whole being is to put obstacles in the way of holiness, will itself assist in completing the work, just like Esav in the Alter and Esav in Yaakov's time, and in the Alter Rebbe's time, those who arrested him were the ones who affected his release. Just an addendum to the story. The Tzemach Tzedek once asked rhetorically, what did the Alter Rebbe want from Chassidus? He wanted to take away what's described in the Zohar as a closed heart, covered eyes, and seeing without knowing what's being seen. And through his giving away his soul, this person, Mesiras Nefesh, through the Alter Rebbe giving us away his soul through Mesiras Nefesh, the Alter Rebbe was able to understand that Chassidus has the power to bring a person to a state of having an open heart, clear sight, and to know what he is seeing. We want Mashiach now. I assume we're going to have a nigger.
Yeah, I know what Leib would sing already.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is the niggin Pada B'Sholem.
Oh,
Pada
B'Sholem.
Nafshi, redeem my soul in peace.
Redeem my soul
So
in peace.
I already know when as soon as you said Pada B'Sholem, Leib will give me a funny look, and I already know what it means. You want to sing that one?
Okay.
Pada B'Sholem. Nafshi mikraveli ki berabim hayo imadi pada b'shalom nafshi mikraveli berabim hayo imadim yishma keil veyanim veyeshev kedem sela yishma keil veyanim veyeshev kedem sela Asherein Chalifei Slomei Asherein Chalifei Slomei V'la yaru Eloikim V'la yaru Eloikim Sholach Yadav Bishalayim of Chileil, Chileil, Chilei berisei, cholko machamois, pivo kerov libei, rako devarov mishemen, veheima psicheis, Hashlech, al Hashem Yehovecha, veho yechaklecha, le'yitein le'yelam, meid la tzadik, ve'yato Elokim, Teiridei melive'er shachas, ve'yato Elokim, Teiridei melive'er shachas, Anshe damim umirmo, Le'yechetu yemeyem Anshe damim umirmo Le'yechetu yemeyem Va'ani heftach bach, 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 va'ani Evtach boch, evtach boch.
Before I start telling this beautiful piece of Hasidic wisdom, before I forget, I just want to shout out to my granddaughter, Nava Bracha Izagwi. Hi, Nava. The previous Rebbe once said in a Sikha, every person sometimes asks, who am I? Everybody asks, who am I? And this is the human beingness of a complete person, to recognize what he is. The Rebbe is talking to us. And that person is called a bar das, one who has a bond to his inner self. He is internally focused. Also, the Rebbe said, we ask ourselves, who are we? And the answer, the Rebbe says, we are from the tribe and congregation of Chabad Chassidim. Now, whoever is listening who might not consider themselves to be one of the Chabad Chassidim, it's very interesting at least to find out what it is, but I'll bet you if you're listening to this show, on some kind of level, you're a Chabad Chassid. And to answer the question completely, who are we? We first have to understand what is Chabad. Okay, Moshe? We got to understand what is Chabad to be able to answer the question, who are we? The Rebbe says Chabad is intellect, Chachma, Bina, and Das, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. And intellect has many functions. There's complete intellect, and in complete intellect, there's the emotional attributes of intellect. In other words, is this thing good or bad? How do I use this thing? They are the attributes of intellect, how it connects outside. Is it benign or dangerous? But the main thing in intellect, its point. The main is its point. And the main thing in everything is its point. And intellect, Chabad, through its point, brings about a wide understanding in every topic. For example, steam is produced by water on red hot coals. That is the point of this idea. And that idea can be applied in many ways, like a machine for grinding wheat or barley or powering a train. But the main thing is the point that steam is produced by pouring water on fire. So that's the point. And once you have the point, you can understand how to use that point to accomplish stuff. And on a spiritual level, everything needs an introduction. The introduction is its point, without which there can be no growth. Once on Purim, the Rebbe Mirage told his sons what he heard from his uncle Chaim Abraham, who was the son of the Alter Rebbe, what his older brother, Rabbi Moshe, heard from their father, the Alter Rebbe. Is this okay? Are we understanding what we're...
Yeah.
We're not, it's not just flying by? So the Rebbe Mirage heard from his uncle, who was the son of the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe had heard this teaching from the Maggid of Medrash, from his Rebbe. And the Maggid had heard it from his Rebbe, the Baal Shem Tov. So that's pretty good provenance. The Maggid told the Alter Rebbe that everything needs an introduction, the point to be expanded. Then he went into the details. The introduction for the written Torah is the white part of the parchment that surrounds the letters. It indicates the essence of the Torah. It's beyond revelation. It's beyond words and letters. And that's the point of the Torah. It's godliness that is higher and beyond any explanation. And that's the point of it, and that's the introduction to Torah. So whatever the details of Torah, the point of it is a revelation of higher than intellect. The introduction to the oral Torah is the first Mishnah. You know what the first Mishnah is?
You must like Kadim.
Right. From what time in the evening do we say Shema Yisroel? And then the Rebbe gives the Hasidic interpretation of from what time in the evening do we say Shema. The Hebrew word for what time can be translated as fear. Me'amosai. Ema means fear. The intention of fear and awe expressed in Shema allows one to be aroused to truly listen. Shema means to listen to the one commanding the commandment. Listen, Israel. And through the attribute of fear, not necessarily physical fear, but even awe of the one who's giving you the command, then you can listen to the command. The evening, what time do we say Shema in the evening? The evening is dark night. But the same Hebrew word, Erev, can be read as sweet. In Hebrew, the word for night is also the same word as sweet, arevus. Thus, the intention in the evening Shema is to turn dark into light, bitterness into sweetness. And what time do we say the Shema at night? When the Kahanim go in to eat their truma. The Kahanim indicate our service of holiness. Each person has a level of being a Kohen. He's a priest of Hashem who serves Hashem in holiness. So when it says, when the Kohanim go in to eat their truma, it's talking about us and our service to Hashem on the level of holiness. And they enter to eat their truma can be read as which is on a higher level. Truma, tarum, means on a higher level, while eating means to internalize. So through our service of internalizing that which is higher than us, we change dark to light, bitterness to sweet, by internalizing what's higher than us, which is the infinite. Do we have a nigga now?
Yeah, we have a nigga now.
How's that? Isn't that a nice?
That's beautiful. May Shema. From we read the Shema Shel Arvis, the third
Right.
Dari. That's beautiful.
And we turn the dark to light through the.
I gotta share that with the bucket. That's a beautiful.
This whole thing is
Yeah, it's
amazing. Wait
amazing.
till you hear
It's
this.
mind-blowing.
It's unbelievable.
I did it, ayayam. I did it, ayayam. Ayam, ayam, ayayam. I did it, ayayam. I did it, ayayam. Ayayam, ayayam. I did it, ayayam. I did it, ayayam. Ayayam, ayayam. I did it, ayayam. I did it, ayayam, ayayam, ayayam. I did it, ayayam, ayayam. I did it, ayayam, oh, I did ayayam. I did it, ayayam. I did it, ayayam. Hey, I la la ya yanam, ya yanam, yo yanam, ya didam. Hey, la la yo yanam, ya yanam, yo yanam, ya. I did it, ya. I did it, ayayam, ayam, 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 I did it, ayayam, I did it, ayayam, hey, ayayam, ayayam, I did it, ayayam, I did it, ayayam, ayam, 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 I did it, ayayam. I did it, ayayam, ayam, ayam, did la la la. I did it, ayayam, I did awam. I did it, away, ho, I did awam. I did him, ayayam. Say, I did him, ayayam. Hey, ayayam, ayayam. Ayayam, I did him. Say, ayayam, ayayam. I let him. Oh, yanam, ayayam.
The preparation for learning Gemara is the question: from where do we know what's being said here? Hani Mili. The Rebbe Reb Zusha, who was a student of the Magi, like the Alter Rebbe was, taught this Torah every place he went, and through it he was able to reveal to many the love of Hashem hidden in their hearts, showing the teaching was the introduction for self-awareness of many people. And what's self-awareness? Who am I? I am one who loves Hashem. That's the answer, one of the answers to who am I. The Rambam and the Pardes is Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, and the Rambam is the Maimonides, respectively, also speak of self-recognition. The Rambam says the heavenly spheres, that means like the sun and the moon, recognize themselves. And they also recognize the angels that are higher than them. The realization of the stars in orbit is smaller than the knowledge of the angels, but it's greater than the knowledge of people, meaning the knowledge of God. So you have three levels here according to the Rambam. you have the stars in the sky, and they have a knowledge of God, which is higher than the knowledge of God that people have. And then there are the angels, which have a higher knowledge of God than those stars and planets. So we see three levels of recognition. One, they recognize themselves. Who am I? The fact that their knowledge is greater than that of people indicates that even though their knowledge level is higher than that of people, people do exist for them. They recognize there's people who have a certain amount of knowledge. And in comparison to them, and these ones who have less knowledge are compared to them. They have less knowledge than we do. Three, they recognize what's above them, which is the angels. Now there's a fourth, deeper level of recognition, referred to by the Mittler Rebbe, who just got out of jail yesterday, that every existence has 6 dimensions. In space, we see it north, east, west, south, and up and down. And the Rebbe Rashab revealed an even deeper level included in that teaching of the Mittler Rebbe, that there are not just 6 dimensions, but there's 12 dimensions. Let's say that's like northeast, southwest on the physical level. For example, when we're outside, we see we're surrounded by 6 directions. But when we're sitting in a sukkah, there are 12 lines to that cube. So every border really has 12 lines. But it's all included of this thing of west, east, south, north, and up and down. So I think we could take from that the Rebbe has a greater knowledge than we do. And he's able to impart it to us. So everything has an inner level and an outer level. Every existence has, till here you could reach. We are lower than the knowledge of the planets, and they're lower than the knowledge of the angels. But not further, because every point has a limit to its outspread. And the beginning of its outspread from the point which is higher than it is its recognition of what is higher than it. So that's the point where its outspread starts from, its recognition that there's something higher than it. So that's the Rambam. That there's 3 levels of perception and a 4th level. The Pardes, on the other hand, speaks of the spheros of Atzilus. Not about physicality, not even about spiritual levels, but the world of unification of godliness. And each of these spheros in the world of Atzilus has 3 levels, according to Rabbi Moshe Cordovero. Its comparison to the sphera which emanates it, like Bina is emanated by Chachma, so Bina is compared to Chachma, it's emanated from it. And then it has its own level. And then how it is compared to the level that emanates it.
So is that almost like depth, width, and length?
Could be. I haven't thought it through, but I don't see why it can't be. Now the difference, the Rebbe tells us, between the Pardes and the Rambam, the Pardes is about histalshelus, connection. How one sphere is connected to the sphere that's higher than that and connected to the sphere that's lower than it. The Rambam is about separation. The planets have a greater level of knowledge than people. And the angels have a greater knowledge than the heavenly bodies. But one way or the other, they both describe self-awareness. Can you imagine the Rebbe, like... The Rambam says the angels recognize their creator, and they recognize themselves, but he doesn't mention This is another thing. This is not how the heavenly bodies recognize. This is how the angels recognize. They recognize Hashem. They recognize themselves. But he doesn't say their knowledge is higher than that of people, like by the heavenly bodies. And the reason is the heavenly bodies have some connection to the world, while angels have no connection to the world. They're completely spiritual. The only time angels have any connection, because we do see there's angels. Abraham met the three angels. Joshua met an angel. An angel spoke to Abraham. The only time angels have any connection to the world is when they are on a mission from Hashem to the world. But their regular and main thing is to sing praises to Hashem. They're completely fixated on Hashem in their recognition of the Creator who enlivens them. There's a story of two Chassidim, one old and one young. And the older one noticed that the younger one was singing during his prayers. He said to the younger one, "You're not an angel." The young one said, "What are you talking about? Of course I'm not an angel." The older one said, "Angels know what they're singing and before whom they're singing. But you don't know what you're singing and you don't know to who you're singing. So why are you singing?" But when we say the heavenly bodies have greater, you know what? Why don't we do a singing now? Why don't we do a nigga?
Not singing. Well, this week is the birthday and the yahrzeit and the Chag HaGeula, the holiday of redemption of the Mittler Rebbe. So you might as well sing the Mittler Rebbe's Kapelya.
Yeah.
The ya ma ya yam. Elaram, elaram, tararam, elarayam, elarayam, ayam, elaram, ayayayam, yayayam, elaram. Oh, ya ram, alara, ya alara, alaram, 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 alara, ya alara, alara, ya alara, alaram. Tarararam, tararara, yalarara, yalarara, yalarararam, yalara, yam, tarara, yalarara, yalarara, yaram, yalarara, yalararam, tararam, oh, yalara, oh, yanam, tarara, yalarara, yalarararam, oh. Ayalaram, 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 dararam, dararam, ayalaram. Oh, yalara, 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 oh, yalara, yalara, dararam, oh, ay, 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 ay. Tererayayayam, ayayayayam, oh yedimambam, oh yedimambam, ayalaray, oh inaramam, tererayayayayayam, hey ayalaray, ayalaray, ayalara, oh yanderam, bam, 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 oh ayalara. Te ya elaram bam, oh elaram, te ya tararam, tarararam, hey ya elaram, bam, 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 da-da-da, la-da-da, da-da-da, la-ram, bam, la-da, na-na, na-na, oh, la-da-da, na-na, na-na, ay la 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 yam ay moyana ay la 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 yam moyana yam ayina moyana ay la 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 yam ay moyana hey la la yam ayina moyana oh la la ram bam ay ayina nam oh ya my la ram oh la ram ram bam bam ay mo yedim bam ay la rai oh ya nam ram bam Hoy.
But when we say the heavenly bodies have greater knowledge of the Creator than people do, we only mean human intelligence. The heavenly bodies have greater knowledge of Hashem than we do in human intelligence. We're not talking about the knowledge and recognition of the godly soul, the godly intellect that a person has. And at that point, the previous Rebbe said, whatever we are, we're Chassidim, so we should say L'chaim. We Chassidim need to know how everything is on high and how it is in its source. Once medical professors announced the discovery of some kind of vein or tube in the brain, which is a help in remembering and concentrating. This is a famous story. Moshe, you ever heard it before?
This one, no.
And this is a story of the Midler Rebbe, whose big day was yesterday and the day before. Once at a meal in the house of the Rebbe Rashab, one of his family members told about this discovery of this vein in the head. And he was very excited about it. The Rebbe continued the meal. He said the benching afterwards, without saying anything. And after benching, he asked the relative to wait for him. They'll come back right away. When the Rebbe came back, he had a small notebook with handwritten notes in it. And it was written by the Mitler Rebbe. And it said, in about 6 or 7 of those written pages, the Mitler Rebbe described that vein in detail. He described it as a vein in the brain filled with fluid, which moved up and down. When it moved over the brain of Chachma, over the right brain, or over the left brain and the Bina brain, it helped remembering. And it went over the Das brain, which is in back, it helped in concentrating. So that when a person wants to remember, he tilts his head back. And when he wants to concentrate, he tilts his head forward. The relative asked the Rebbe Rashab if the Midler Rebbe was such a doctor. He was surprised. He said, "What do you mean the Midler Rebbe was a doctor?" The Rebbe Rashab said, the Midler Rebbe knew the working of the supernal man, of the godly man on the throne at the prophecies so well, he could use it to realize how it worked in the earthly man. So it wasn't he was a doctor, he knew the workings of the godly man, therefore he could describe how we work. Everybody knows the beginning of the Torah? I wish Gimel Aleph was here. I was asked him, Gimel Aleph, what is the beginning of the Torah? Moshe, what's the beginning of the Torah? How does the Torah start?
In the beginning.
In the beginning. Perfect. Bereshis. And Bereshis indicates two heads. One, the Torah, and two, Israel. And they were both called first. And the reason for the creation of the world, Hashem created the world for Israel, for the Jewish people, and for the Torah. Nevertheless, it took 2,000 years for the first Jew to come on the scene, Avraham Avinu. Even though the world was created for the Jews and for the Torah, it took 2,000 years for the first Jew to come on the scene. Even now, people think the whole world...
Even longer for the Torah to come on the scene.
Another 500 years, correct. People think the whole world was created for their physical satisfaction. They don't know their real reason for being. Who am I? What am I doing? Until Abraham came, and at 3 years old or older, he recognized his creator. And then you had the giving of the Torah. It was 500 years later than that. So even though the whole intention of creation was for Torah and Israel, the revelation took over 2,000 years. And we should think deeply about that seeming anomaly, the Rebbe says. What do we have, a small nigga?
Yeah.
A nice smaller nigga?
Yeah. Hey ya ya did I ya ya my ya 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 my ya did it ma ya ya my ya did it I know that I know that bam 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 did it ma ya ya my ya did it ay 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 did it ay 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 did it ay ay did it ay did it ay yo did did it ay yo did did it ay yo did ay did ay did it ay ay did it oh did it ay did it ay yo did did it ay yo did ay did ay did ya 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 my ya did da hey ya ya did ya ya my ya 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 my ya did hey ya 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 my ya did da hey ya ya did bam do did bam 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 did hey ya why do I did hey ya 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 did ay 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 did it ay hey ay 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 did it hoy did it ay yo did it ay yo did it ay ay yo did ay ay did ay ay did it ay ay my ay did it hoy did it ay did it ay did it ay yo did ay ay did ay did ay ay da oh.
Notwithstanding the fact that it took 2,000 years to get Abraham and the Torah, Chassidus explains that the time it takes for a thing to come to fruition does not affect the fact that it actually happened. The revelation of Chassidus, and this is where we started, we want to explain what's Chassidus, was at first only to special people. Then the Baal Shem Tov came and revealed it to everyone. Israel is the crown of beauty of the world. The Torah is the crown of beauty of the Jews. And Chassidus is the crown of beauty of the sons of Torah. And with that, we're going to have our wind-up song.
Gezintahait, Gezintahait.
Gezintahait,
Gezintahait, my friends.
Remember, kids, Gezintahait.
Hey, Gezintahait.